Hello and welcome back to Around Town with Lily. Today I'm interviewing Lieutenant Skory, who on May 31st will become Wakefield's new Chief of Police. Congratulations and thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So to get started, where did you grow up?
I grew up in the town of Topsfield, but I do have some family ties here to the town of Wakefield, which is what drew me to the town originally. My grandparents lived on Chestnut Street. My mother grew up in town. She went to school at the old Lincoln School, and she went to high school at what is now the Galvin. And I spent a lot of my childhood here with my grandparents on Chestnut Street, spending time down the lake, Spalding Street Playground, and Veterans Field. So I had good experiences here in Wakefield as a child.
When you were little, did you ever think you would be a police officer?
You know, that's a great question. I think when everybody's little, they're not really sure what they want to be when they grow up. And I was always interested by police work. Knew some police officers when I was little, and I think they had a positive influence on me, and it's something that I looked up to them. And I think when I got old enough to really put some thought into what I wanted to be when I grew up, I thought about those people, and that's what made me gravitate towards the profession.
What school did you go to?
For high school?
Yes.
I went to Masconomet, which is a regional high school. It includes Boxford, Middleton, and Topsfield.
In college, what did you major in?
I majored in criminal justice. And I got my bachelor's degree at Northeastern University, and then I got a master's degree in criminal justice from Western New England College.
How long have you been working in the police force?
I've been here in Wakefield since July 5th of 2000, and I have a combined total experience of 25 years. Before I came here to Wakefield, I spent 6 years working as a police officer in the town of Middleton. And I had also worked part-time as a police officer in the town of Hampton, New Hampshire, and in Topsfield, Massachusetts.
What is the difference between policing those communities and Wakefield?
Middleton and Topsfield are similar. They're small towns, they're rural communities, they're very quiet. The busiest things that you might do are medical aids or house alarms. There's not a whole lot of police activity, so to say, in those towns. Hampton was very different because it's very busy in the summertime. There are a lot of alcohol-related issues because people tend to drink a lot when they're up at the beach. Wakefield is much different. We have a diverse culture here in Wakefield. We have a lot of different things that we deal with. There are the usual house alarms and medical aids. We combat the drug issues. There's a big variety of calls that we experience here in Wakefield.
What was it like training at the FBI National Academy?
One of the best experiences of my life. What the FBI National Academy is it's leaders from police organizations from around the world. It's not just police leaders from here in the United States. I think there were 20-something people from around the world that attended my session. There were people from Croatia, Bosnia, Yugoslavia, China, Spain, England, just to name a few. And to hear the different experiences those people have how they experience policing in different parts of the world, and to hear how people experience policing in other parts of the country can be very fascinating. Some of the experiences that these people have had with major events, to hear them speak and just to hear how they dealt with certain situations, you learn just as much from your classmates as you do from your professors in the classes that you take at the FBI National Academy.
How did you use what you learned to be a better police officer?
It gives you a new perspective on how to manage people, I think, especially when you've had, say, a personnel issue that you didn't really know how to deal with, and you learn from somebody, a classmate, how they dealt with it. You can bring that perspective back. Nowadays, we hear a lot about the differences between Generation X and Generation Y. And old school Generation X has to take on a whole new perspective on how to deal with Generation Y. And it's a whole new approach. And I think when you listen to other people and some of the things they've changed, some of their beliefs that they've changed, or the way they approach things, it helps in managing your personnel.
What is the Northeastern Massachusetts Law Enforcement Council?
What that is it's a collaboration of 51 different cities and towns in 2 sheriff's departments, the Middlesex County Sheriff's Department and Essex. So that collaboration has allowed NEMLEC, which is the acronym for that, to form certain units that each town has access to. They have a SWAT team, they have a regional response team, an incident management team, is a critical incident stress management team, and STARS, which is the school threat and resource team. So each individual town on its own doesn't have the resources to have its own individual team. We don't have the resources here in Wakefield to say have our own SWAT team. But when you pool the resources from all those different cities and towns in the sheriff's department, you have the resources to form those teams. There's also a motorcycle unit. So say we had a parade and we needed extra people for motorcycles. We could call Nemlik, and Nemlik would send their team of motorcycles here. We only have 2 motorcycles in Wakefield, so we can't form a whole team. We have 1 officer in our department that's a member of the SWAT team, but we don't have the resources to have 10 members. So if we needed a SWAT team for a certain incident, we call Nemlik. Nemlik sends the whole team. So it's a benefit to those cities and towns.
Did you have any involvement with the Boston Marathon bombing?
I did. So what happened was the bombing was on a Monday, April 15th, 2013. And obviously everything going on in Boston was very chaotic that day. And they pretty much tapped out all their resources, all their own personnel. So they reached out to Nemlik and they said, what can you provide us for assistance? So being a commander on the incident management team, we got together with the other commanders of the other units, the SWAT team and the regional response team. We said, all right, what can we bring to Boston? So we brought our regional response team, which consisted of 50 officers in the SWAT team. And we said to Boston, where do you need us and what do you want from us? So they had everything, there was a lot of unknowns at that time, the day following. So what they wanted to do was protect all their critical infrastructure, which would include like the Prudential Building, hospitals, the TD Bank, North Garden, transit sites. So they asked us to take some of our personnel and man some of that critical infrastructure. So my role was to go to the Boston Police Headquarters into what they call the Tactical Operations Center. And my job was to coordinate the Nemlik assets with what Boston needed and where they needed them. And I communicated that out to the troops in the field. So we ran in 12-hour shifts. So I would go in at 5 a.m. and stay till 5 p.m., manage the people that Nemlik had sent in for that 12-hour period, and then somebody would relieve me and Nemlik would bring in other assets for the next 12-hour period. And we just kept rotating like that all the way through until the following Saturday.
What made you decide to volunteer for the Wakefield Police Honor Guard?
Interestingly enough, we did not have an honor guard, and I forget what year it was, but Chief Smith came to me and he says, hey, listen, he said, I'd really like to get an honor guard started. Can you do it? I said, okay, I don't really know what it takes, but I'll find out. So we went to a couple of different uniform stores and we researched different kinds of honor guard uniforms, and we picked out what we thought looked best for us. And then we recruited some officers from the department to serve on the honor guard, and we trained and we practiced. And Sergeant Burnham, who's on the honor guard, he's a former Marine, former drill instructor, so he kind of took everybody under his wing and taught everybody how to march and do all the things that we needed to do to look good when we go out.
What does being the security planner for Wakefield Independence Day involve?
So the 4th of July is obviously a major event here in Wakefield, and it's what they term a soft target. We're in a small community, not high profile, but we draw a large number of people. We don't get the security that, say, they do in Boston for the 4th of July. So I always look at world events, what's going on around the world. I look at different terrorist attacks. I look at how they're done, and I say, all right, what can we do to prevent that from happening here? We've taken on a number of tactics over the years to improve the safety of the people that come to enjoy the parade and the people who come to enjoy the fireworks. I'm not going to give away all my trade secrets, but I took over the 4th of July 7 years ago, and I can tell you that we've changed a lot of the things that we do. We've changed the way we look at the 4th of July. There's a lot of things that we do that you don't see, but they're there. Those things are in place to make you safe when you're out there to enjoy the parade and the fireworks.
I also understand you manage the town's special units. Can you tell me what that involves?
So our special units would include the motorcycle unit, the bicycle unit, and the canine unit, which unfortunately right now we don't have a dog right now. That's something that we would like to get back up and running again. It's just very time consuming, and we'll be looking at in the near future. So the motorcycle units, I also manage all the people who are involved with NEMLEC. So, for instance, Officer Lyons, one of our primary motorcycle officers, he's a part of the NEMLEC motorcycle unit. So we have a number of officers that ride the motorcycle, and the great thing about the motorcycle is it gives officers the ability to get out and interact with the public a little bit. It's much different than driving around in a car. And people seem more willing to come up to an officer when they're parked somewhere in a motorcycle than they are willing to approach somebody in a vehicle. So it's a great community policing tool. It's very useful for the purpose of doing traffic enforcement because you can park the motorcycle pretty much anywhere. One of the tactics that the motorcycle officers will use is they'll park the bike, say, on the sidewalk, and they'll use a handheld radar to do radar, just walk out into the street and pull cars over. So the bike certainly has some advantages. The bicycles, we have a good number of officers who are trained to ride the mountain bike. We use that as a community policing tool as well. During the warmer months, you'll see the bike officers, they'll be downtown, they'll be around the lake. And again, people feel comfortable approaching an officer on a bicycle. It's a softer look, and it helps mix things up a little bit for the officers.
I see that you have had various experiences with the Wakefield Police. Do you think that's why the town council unanimously voted you to be the next chief of police?
I'd like to think it was a culmination of a lot of things. My experience having worked for 4 different police departments really, I think, is important. I've seen different approaches by different police managers. I've worked for 6 different police chiefs. I've seen how different organizations run. I'm very proud to be a member of the Wakefield Police Department. Out of all the places I've worked, it's the most professional, it's highly respected, and I'm absolutely proud to work here. I have experience at the Traffic Advisory Committee. I've been a member of NEMLEC. I was a member of the Regional Response Team, member of the Incident Management Team. I think that what I've done with the 4th of July, I've brought the security of that event a long way. So I would like to think it was a culmination of everything. And I can tell you that being a police officer is not an easy job. We dedicate basically our lives to this job. We make a lot of sacrifices, both professionally and personally. For instance, I've been doing police work for 25 years, and I've worked the night shift for 25 years. So I've made sacrifices at home. My kids have made sacrifices. I've missed a lot of birthday parties, Little League games, Christmases, but that's part of what we do. And so when you dedicate yourself to a profession, it's your hope and your dream that at the end you can make it to the top. And if you work hard enough, you like to see that you're going to be rewarded for that.
What is the favorite part of your job?
I like all of it. It's all, every day is different. That's the beauty of police work, is that every day you come to work, it's always different. Nothing is ever the same. Just when you think you've seen everything that you could possibly see, you see something different. And the other part of this job that's so great is getting to interact with people. I meet new people every day. And you hear their stories, you learn about them, and that's what makes a community, when you get to learn about everybody that lives there.
What do you think your challenges of being the new chief of police will be?
Well, most important, we have to continue our fight against the opioid crisis. Sadly enough, it's something that isn't going away. It's taking lives, which is not a good thing. So we have to figure out a way to better combat that. There'll be new challenges that we don't know about yet. Like, policing has changed a lot since I started 25 years ago. If you had told me 25 years ago that police officers would be the lead agency or the lead people that someone would go to help combat the mental health issues that are out there, I wouldn't have believed you, but we are, and that's what we do. We've taken on much more of a social service role than we did 25 years ago. And I think old school policing would have said, no, that's not what we do, but it is what we do. And we have to be good at it because people need us. When people don't know who to turn to for an answer for help, they come to the police. So we need to know the answers, and we need to be able to help everybody.
And finally, what has been your favorite or funniest moment on the job?
I've had a lot of funny moments. I think the funniest moments probably surround animal calls. I was trying to think of some really funny moments the other day, and they all seem to go back to people call us for help with wild animals. And there were a couple of calls that we went to in houses for bats. And people just didn't know what to do. And I had an old trick that I actually learned from my grandmother. And the trick is when the bat lands, you suck it into a vacuum cleaner, and that's how you get rid of it. And it sounds crazy, and people laugh at you when you tell them that's what you're going to do, but it works. And it creates a lot of laughs, and it gets smiles on faces. So I think animal calls always seem to bring out smiles in people, and that's really what you want to see in this job, is you want to see people smile.
Well, thank you for joining me today, and I wish you the best of luck as being the new Chief of Police.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of Around Town with Lily, and I hope to see you next time.